Our story begins with our hero standing on top of the world. He thought he had everything, and one day it was all taken away from him. Thus began his journey on completing the horrific trials that lay awaiting him. Upon completing these trials, our hero stood atop Mount Olympus, achieving immortality. Some of you might think our story is about Hercules. Some of you would be wrong. This story is about me and making my way through the hellscape that is XCOM 2. If you've ever wondered what it would be like to experience becoming Satan's sex slave, this game is the next best thing. Welcome to the best and hardest Alphabet Platinum challenge you will find on YouTube. For those of you that don't know, we are picking a game that starts with each letter of the alphabet, starting with Z, going all the way up, getting the Platinum or 100% on each one of them. So far, we've done E-Sate and Zombie Army 4. Have a couple pretty shitty games coming up, including Wolfenstein 2, Evil Within, Outlast 2, Hollow Knight, Fortnite, Black Ops 3, Back 4 Blood, but we'll get to all those later. So let's get into the worst gaming experience I've had to date, and let's just jump right into it. Before we get into the steps of how we tackled this game, let's very briefly talk about the difficulty in this game, because a lot of the trophies are locked behind these different difficulties. The first difficulty is Rookie, which makes sense. A lot of games have their easiest difficulty being Rookie. Anyone want to guess what the second difficulty is? Well, whatever you said, wrong. It is Hard Mode. Yes, Hard Mode is the second lowest difficulty. The third is Commander, and lastly, Legend. And all the difficulty trophies require either Legend or Commander. So don't get to play on Rookie or even Hard Mode. Have to go right into Commander. So let's make an outline of how we're going to go about this game. So for step 1, we're going to have a complete wiped playthrough because of DLC being activated even though I turned it off. And we'll get to that later. Step 2, we're going to complete the game on Commander without losing any of the troops and get all the miscellaneous trophies. Step 3, we're going to do a combined speedrun and Iron Man playthrough. Get to that a little later as well. Step 4, the miserable grind of Legend. And then step 5 is going to be our DLC run. So I'm going to play a loading screen for you guys and talk a little bit about the game. And just so you guys know, whenever you see in the top right corner that times reset go up, just know that this is how long every single loading screen is in this game. So just to be clear, every single time that counter increases by 1, I sat through this loading screen. And these resets would become very bountiful. They would come if a soldier missed a shot that had a 97% chance to land. And trust me, there are multiple times where I would miss a 90+% chance shot, or miss a 75% chance shot 5 times in a row. Or I moved a soldier 1 block too far, activated 3 different alien pods. Or if I just got face fucked by an alien throwing an AoE that depletes all my soldiers' ammo and does damage to them. I've never played a strategy game before, and certainly never played an XCOM game before, so I had to learn how to play strategy games while also learning to play one of the hardest strategy games while also playing on one of the hardest difficulties in said strategy game. So if you could imagine a chicken running around without a head in a factory run by lions that is also on fire in a nuclear wasteland, that would be me playing this game. I'm not joking, this game took over my life. There were times I was dreaming about playing this game, literally. For anyone who is considering playing this game, you have to become an absolute master at it. You can't follow a step-by-step guide because everything in this game is RNG based. If you don't believe me, here are all the different tabs I had open on my phone to actually learn everything there is about this game. Now with all of that out of the way, let's jump into the RNG nightmare and see how this game broke me beyond repair. So, a lot about the first step. The true first step is completing the tutorial, which gets us our first trophy of the game and locks us into this nightmare. Why I didn't include it in the steps is because after doing this, I had to exit out of the playthrough, delete the save file, and start a new one. Why, you might ask? Well, for the trophy for no one dying, the tutorial actually counts as having soldiers die. Yep, sounds as annoying as you would think. But starting the first actual playthrough is where I messed up horribly. In the trophy guide, it says under no circumstances have the DLC active going for the platinum. Reason being, the DLCs add these absolutely absurdly hard boss enemies, the alien rulers. So I added the DLCs to my download, but I was going to be smart about it. See, when you start a campaign, you have the choice to turn off the DLCs. So that's what I did. Turn off the DLC makes it so the DLC content isn't there. Right? Right? Surely this won't come back to screw me 20 hours from now. Anyway, campaign is pretty straightforward, so I won't have to explain much of it during the video. Basically, aliens are taking over the world. We rescue our fearless commander. There's only a couple actual story missions to do during the game. It's basically recovering items or intel to eventually stop the aliens. The game is filled with a bunch of random side missions, which you basically have to continually do because they give you much needed rewards, and some even help slow down the Avatar project, which we'll get into a little bit later. Without getting into painful detail of what the Avatar project actually is, basically just insta-ends the game if you don't stop it. Simple enough, right? We get a ton of trophies early on in this game, and they're all for completing pretty easy tasks. Our next trophy comes from simply upgrading a weapon. Going through normal missions, another trophy pops for completing a rumor, which is basically unmissable. By attacking unaware enemies, killing them, get another trophy to pop for successfully completing an ambush. Like a lot of other strategy games, you can make contact with other parts of the world. Doing this got me another trophy. One of my favorite enemies in the game was a sectoid, because they would usually do some stupid type of mind control on their first move instead of actually shooting me. By killing one of these schmucks while it was mind controlling one of my troops, got another trophy to pop. This is when we get our first story mission. Upon completing this mission, we get another trophy for discovering the Black Site data. There were several trophies that I was on the lookout for during my first playthrough, where you need an enemy in a very specific spot in order to get it. One of these came when I blew an enemy off a roof and he fell to his death, getting us another trophy. A big strategy part of the game is the facilities you build on your home base. I needed to carefully decide what facilities to build and where to build them, and also when in the game to build them, and also get to upgrade them. So I also have to figure out when the right time to upgrade them is. Upon upgrading my first one, got a trophy for doing so. After this, found my first PCS upgrade, which basically gives one soldier a permanent passive buff, and putting it on one of them gets us another trophy. The next story mission comes shortly after this. This one is Skull Hacking an Advent Officer. Doing this gets us a trophy, but also sadly introduces one of the most obnoxious enemies in the game, Fuckface Codex. What is a Codex, you might be asking? Every time you don't kill the Codex, but do damage to it, it will teleport and clone itself. One of these fuckers could turn into 4 or 5 different ones. And that's not all. These things love doing this AoE move, which has a huge radius, and every soldier trapped in it has all of their ammo completely depleted. And if you don't move them out of that radius by the next turn, they pretty much get one shot. These things suck. But on the bright side, killing this dumpster diver gets us another trophy for recovering a Codex brain. Another mechanic in the game is hacking, which I absolutely loved. When you hack something, you get another RNG bar that if it fills up enough, you get a secondary reward, and doing this had another trophy pop. Saw an enemy near a car a little later on, decided to go for one of these other trophies. By getting the car to explode and kill the enemy, got a trophy to pop. Then quickly got another trophy by hacking a turret and using that to kill an enemy. Hacking turrets was legit amazing. Instead of it shooting me, I could add an extra soldier, and the enemies would shoot the turret instead of shooting me. It was a win-win using these to my advantage. Next came another story objective, which was to build the resistance columns, which was basically used to branch out and move across the world, and doing so unlocks a trophy. Now this is where my playthrough began to spiral, and the worst part is, I didn't even know that it was happening at the time. So remember back when I said I turned the DLC off and I should be good? Well, the game had other plans for me. Even though I told the game, no, I do not want the DLC, keep those asshole alien rulers away from me, the game heard that as, alien rulers are fun for the whole family, here you go. You're welcome. Have a good day, sir. First alien ruler showed up, and I didn't even know that it was one until much later. I just thought it was another asshole enemy that shows up. So these guys show up in random missions with 3 or so lines of health bars. And instead of normal combat, where all your soldiers get to attack before the enemy does, these guys get a move after every single action you take. You move a soldier, they get to attack. You reload, they get to attack. You go to scratch your balls, these cum socks get to attack. Oh, and after they take some damage, they decide to run away like a scared little girl in a haunted house, and they'll just show up in another random mission later on. So after the Viper King showed up, a few missions in, finally got him to his last health bar. This mission took me 2 hours because I had to keep resetting. Between missed shots and this guy just being an asshole, it took me forever to kill him. But I eventually did and got a trophy for it. But I'm stupid. I didn't realize it wasn't a base game trophy. If I had, I would have saved myself many hours. But I was super excited. I finally killed it. Thought I just beat the game. Obviously, no other asshole like that is going to show up. I'm good now. The next 3 trophies, the video got corrupted, so I can't show it popping, but I'll tell you guys about it. One trophy was for killing a berserker in melee combat, which I kind of just threw to make sure I got it, then reloaded to pass save. Got another DLC trophy, still not realizing it at the time. That was for building a spark unit, but we'll get to those beef suits a little later. And then I got another story objective trophy, which was for building the shadow chamber, which is what I consider the midway point of the game. This facility is completely worthless gameplay wise, but it is tied to a big portion of the remaining story objectives, so I have to use resources and time to build something that basically just completes some more story objectives. Sick. So I continued on in my game and completed another story objective and got a trophy for building an experimental item in the proving ground. Then, in a random mission, one of the normal Viper enemies was strangling my teammate, and by killing it while it was still attached, got another trophy to pop. This is the part of my campaign where I learned how badly the game screwed me. The second alien ruler showed up, the Berserker Queen, and she just bricked my entire playthrough. Normally when you turn the DLCs on, there's a mission where you start it and the alien rulers will start spawning after that. When I did my DLC run, I waited until mid-game where I was loaded with good gear before starting that mission. And this asshole showed up pretty early on in the game, since there was no DLC mission since I turned it off. I don't have gameplay what happened because I got no trophies during the recording sessions, also got mad my playthrough was done and deleted it. So I'll paint a picture for all of you instead. The Avatar project. You know, the thing that I mentioned that it'll fill up and kind of break your game and it's insta game over? Well, that was basically done, and I had one mission available that could decrease it. I had no choice but to do this mission. That mission itself is kind of difficult, but what made it worse, Berserker Queen showed up at the very beginning of it. I spent about an hour trying different strategies, and she just kept wiping the floor with me, which is when I looked up online how to beat her. I had none of the gear or abilities, or anything, and then found out it was an alien ruler, which is part of the DLC, which I turned off at the beginning of the game. Also, which the trophy guide says your game is pretty much screwed if they show up. Yeah, so I was left with 2 options. Spend 80 hours trying to beat this one boss, only for the third and most powerful one to show up later, or just delete the save file, uninstall the game, and reinstall it with no DLC and start from scratch. I chose the latter. After a few hours of staring at the ceiling crying, put my big boy pants on, started my journey all the way from the start. But before we hop into the next playthrough, I'm going to show you guys a compilation of some of the most outrageously bullshit moments from this game, including a whole bunch of shots at 90+% just completely whiffing. So, hope you guys enjoy me getting very mad before we start this second playthrough. We'll take that. I'm not. Dude, this is... Are you... Oh... 91%. Dude. Oh my god! 89%. What's wrong with you? Oh my god. What am I supposed to do about this? Like, I don't even know. I legitimately don't even know. Yeah, we'll just take him out of the game now. No, we're not. 92%, and we just completely whiffed. 97% miss? 97%? What are we doing? What are we doing here? Oh my goodness. That is insane. Jesus. You guys keep fucking two-tapping everyone. I need you guys to... Thank you. Another miss, huh? And another miss. Dude, how many shots can you miss? Dude, I don't even know what you guys are shooting at. What in the world was that? Dude, the game did feel much easier this time, not having those alien assholes running around. But that basically just brought the difficulty of the game from an 11 down to a 9. Still not great, but after a long time, eventually got back to where we were in the story. One of the most obnoxious missions in this game is a retaliation mission. There's a certain amount of survivors on the map, and you need to save at least 6. But these asshole aliens will kill 1 to 3 per turn, and you mostly don't know where the aliens are to begin the mission. Sometimes they will just straight up not shoot at you and just kill the civilian. Some bullshit. But completing one of these with having 3 or less civilians die got us another trophy. This next trophy is incredibly important to completing the game. Remember when I mentioned the Avatar project filling up insta ending your game? Well, this is one of the few ways to reduce the amount of progress it has. By sabotaging an alien facility, we not only got a trophy, but also reduced the Avatar project, thus ensuring us not having a game over. We then were able to progress the story a little bit more, got to the point where we have to skulljack a codex, which in turn spits out an avatar. This enemy is also pretty shitty. I don't know if you guys are starting to see a pattern here. There's 3 of them at the end of the game, but they have some pretty insane abilities and also teleport to a random spot on the map whenever they take any damage. This one wasn't too bad because it was just by itself and had half health, but killing it before it even got a turn made it a lot easier, and doing so got us another trophy. The next trophy seemed super hard when I first saw it, but ended up not being too bad. A new enemy gets introduced, and it's called a sectopod. This is the alien embodiment of a week-old porta-potty in summer heat. This thing will absolutely ruin you if given the chance. Killing it in the first turn I encountered it gave us a trophy for doing so, but realistically, every time I encountered one of them, it died the first turn simply out of necessity. Encountered another one not too long after this and got a trophy for hacking it. Honestly, huge doing this. You can hack it and use it to fuck up all the other enemies around and then just shoot at it, and just sits there, does nothing because it's hacked. Makes it much easier and kind of necessary in my opinion. We then moved on to the next story mission, and upon recovering the forge item, got us another trophy. This, like most of the other missions, falls into the getting an intel item or just getting some more information about some other story related thing. So not too exciting, but necessary to progress the story. I shifted my focus to getting some cleanup trophies before progressing the game anymore. I built a facility in every Avenger slot, which got 1 trophy. Traveled all around the world and built a radio relay on every continent, which got another trophy. And then I skulljacked each type of Advent soldier, which got us a 3rd trophy. And finally, I got a random trophy to pop for killing 500 aliens. And you would think after 500 aliens dying that they would start slowing down, but no, they just kept coming. I went back to my story progression and went through what I think is the worst mission in the game, recovering the Cygate. And why does this mission suck so much? Glad you asked. That is because of the chrysalids. Anyone who's played the game can go in the comments and tell me it's a skill issue and that they're so easy. Well, you can go kick rocks. These things blow. They hide underground, and when you get close, they'll just jump out and attack. And when they attack, they can poison you. If you use a recon item, it'll reveal them, and then they go and attack anyway. I hate these things, and they made my Iron Man playthrough almost end. And there's like 800 of them on the map. They suck. I hate this mission. But beating it for the first time gave us a trophy for recovering the Cygate. I did one last miscellaneous trophy before hopping into the endgame. I completely upgraded a beam weapon, which is really just a specific type of weapon you need to research, and equipped it with superior grade weapon upgrades, and doing this popped another trophy. I then went and took that avatar I killed before, brought it over to the Shadow Chamber, did some research on it, and that got another trophy to pop. At this point, I created a separate save file so I could come back and do some more random endgame stuff after beating the game. So I did that and did the last story objective, which was to use the research to create our own avatar, which popped another trophy for creating the commander's avatar. Yeah, you heard that right. I get my own avatar to use for the final mission and go smack some alien bumlords around. Thus began the last mission. Big surprise, this mission sucks. It took me around 3 hours to do it for the first time. There's so many pods of aliens, and it's all endgame enemies. So you're just fighting for your life the entire time. And after using the majority of my abilities, guess what? You go into the actual final room. Yep, busted my load on the pregame party. Final room is fighting a bunch of these normal enemies, and then an avatar will spawn every couple turns, and you have to kill all 3 of them to end it. So you have one avatar spawn, then some more enemies that come and try to kill you, and then another avatar, and then another. But after killing all 3, game officially is over. We win. Upon doing this, got the trophy for overthrowing the aliens at any difficulty, the trophy for overthrowing the aliens on Commander difficulty, and one of the hardest trophies in the game, beating the game on Commander Plus difficulty without losing a single soldier. Felt like I just beat Crypto the Necrodancer doing that, but it's really only just the beginning of the shitbag journey. I went back to my separate save file and continued on getting random trophies. I immediately went to the black market and just sold everything I owned, and instantly got the trophy for selling goods worth 1,000 supplies to the black market. Then reloaded my save so I didn't actually lose everything, and continued doing research on and using the heavy weapons, and got the trophy for killing an enemy with every single heavy weapon in the game. I then took a break from the campaign and went on to do a super fun trophy. Play in a multiplayer match. As you can imagine, this game is not very popular currently, and the people who are playing it are sure as shit not playing multiplayer. So I had to find a way around this. Cue in little baby man himself, Levi.
Hello.
Had him download the game and hop on his alt and play with me. Let me tell you, Levi has watched all of my playtime throughout this game, including one full playthrough and one half playthrough. So even though he didn't play the game, he had a good foundation to put up a respectable fight. So the multiplayer was a 1v1. Choose a team of soldiers and fight the other person. And I'm just going to show you guys how it unfolded.
My character's a direction that I don't even know where. Oh. Hello. What? How are you able to shoot me when I didn't even know where you were? Is my guy dead? How do I shoot at you? It's not your turn! What is happening?
After putting Levi in a trash bag, tying it to a car, and going on a cross-country road trip, I finally got the trophy for playing in a multiplayer match. Then went back to the campaign, built radio relays in all possible spots, and got a trophy for getting all of the continent bonuses. Since I had an endgame save file, I was able to make a team of just rookies, which is the beginning class with no abilities, and complete a mission. This got me a trophy for beating a mission in June or later with just rookies. This next trophy was just obnoxious. There's a mechanic in the game called a bleed out timer, which is when a soldier dies, it has a chance to have a bleed out timer instead of actually dying. So basically just RNG. And I spent close to an hour letting my teammates die to see if it would trigger. Eventually one of them did, and by picking them up and evacuating, I got a trophy to pop. After this, I got another random trophy for killing 3 enemies in a single turn with 1 soldier. So basically just had to weaken 3 people and use a soldier who had an ability that they got an extra turn when they killed someone. The next 3 trophies were all annoying in their own way. They all required beating a mission with some stupid caveat. Putting on all of the starting gear and doing the final mission got me 1 trophy. Doing a mission on Commander Plus using a squad of only the same class got me another trophy. And the last was beating the final mission on Commander Plus without buying a squad upgrade. So basically, had to do it with 4 soldiers and not the normal 6. But doing all of these finally brought us to the end of Stage 2 and finished all miscellaneous trophies. The next 2 stages will be very brief. It's a lot of the same stuff for the most part. Became very repetitive playing through this 30+ hour campaign multiple times. So I basically just super save scummed to make them go a lot faster. For the next playthrough, I did a pretty miserable combo of the speed run while also doing it on Iron Man mode. Iron Man mode makes it so every move you make is final and you can't make multiple saves, but you can still cloud save scum it, which is what I did. And the speed run is finishing the game by July 1st, which is actually pretty crazy to do and requires a very in-depth Google Doc that you can find online to get through it. This doc lays out the order of how you should do everything and when you should do it, when you should have facilities built, everything that you could think of. But flying through this boring repeat campaign, finally finished it and got 2 trophies. One for beating Iron Man mode on Commander Plus, and one for beating the game on July 1st on Commander Plus. And you keep hearing me talk about Commander Plus with a bunch of these trophies, which is why this playthrough was so boring. It was like the other one on the same difficulty with some different modifier. Boring playthrough, flew through it, the end. On to the last playthrough before the Platinum and moving on to the DLC. Unfortunately, might be more boring than the previous one. This last playthrough was to beat the game on the Legend difficulty. The biggest difference between this and Commander is that everything takes 50% longer to build and make. For you, and for the aliens. So it kind of just drags out the campaign and makes it take well over 50% longer. Why, you ask? Well, you end up just getting more of the random side missions that don't really matter, but you still have to do them, or else you deal with the annoying consequences. But because the game gets stretched out longer, you end up getting a lot more of these missions in between when things are being built. So flew through that as fast as humanly possible, and upon completing it, got the trophy for overthrowing the aliens on Legend difficulty, and right after that, got the Platinum for XCOM 2. What a miserable journey from start to finish. Well, thanks for watching the video, guys. See ya. Oh, you're still here? You're still wanting more XCOM 2 footage? Fine. I'll do yet another playthrough for you little monsters, since you love seeing me suffer so much. So it is time for the DLC for XCOM 2. Guess it was time to finally reinstall the DLC to get my revenge on what the game originally did to me. Some of you might think, oh, DLC, those are usually pretty quick and easy. Again, some of you would be wrong. The only saving grace of this is that I can play on the easiest difficulty for all of it, but this DLC is not just an addition to the game like pretty much every other game ever. Oh no, it completely changes the game, like a brand new, full-length game. No, I am not joking. I had to relearn how to play an entirely new game with all new mechanics in order to do this. It required, yet again, an entire full-length playthrough of a game I now didn't know how to play. So we started the new campaign and instantly did one of the DLC missions, which got us a trophy for completing the Lost and Abandoned mission. I then jumped over to another DLC mission to begin making progress on 2 of them at once. During this mission I got 1 trophy for killing an enemy mech that is set to self-destruct. Shortly after this, I got a beef bus, Spark unit joined my team, and by defeating a robotic enemy with it, I got another trophy. Spark unit had a very nice ability where you could fire 3 times in one turn, with each one having a lower accuracy, and by hitting all 3 shots on one enemy, I got another trophy, and defeating this enemy ended the mission, which got another trophy for beating the Lost Tower mission. 4 trophies in one mission? Not too bad. After this mission, I was once again able to build my own Spark unit, and I brought this monster with me on every single mission. 1, because he absolutely slings it, and can join missions when he's hurt, and he doesn't get tired, but more importantly, get another trophy a little later for maxing him out. But by bringing him on a mission where he started with less than half health and survived the mission, got a trophy to pop. This is really where we start hopping between the 3 DLCs, While doing everything with Sparky, I was dealing with the Chosen in that DLC. These guys are annoying as shit, and like with the alien rulers, come in on random missions and become a Karen in a grocery store. But along with them, and what makes the DLC a completely different game, is the addition of all these new soldier classes, one of which being a Templar. Getting kills with them raises their focus meter, then you can use that meter to use their different abilities. And by raising the focus meter, completely draining it, and then filling it all the way back up in one mission, got a trophy to pop. I then went and did a similar trophy for another class, the Reaper. Getting 4 kills while in shadow mode with the Reaper, popped another class specific trophy, and shortly later, by rescuing a soldier that was captured by the asshole Chosen, unlocked another trophy for the Chosen DLC. And then I went for the last class-specific trophy. Similar to the Spark unit, the Skirmisher can do multiple attacks, and performing 3 offensive actions against the same target got a trophy to pop. Now was the time to begin the third and last DLC. This is the DLC that completely bricked my first playthrough, the Alien Rulers. I wanted to make sure my soldiers were decked out, so when these troll doll looking assholes showed up, I could get my revenge. But before starting this, I made a separate save file just in case something happened, wink wink. So I went, did their mission, and completing it unlocked a trophy for investigating the abandoned research facility, and made it so they could start spawning in different missions. After this, I continued on with the other DLC, and just had to wait until the alien rulers started spawning in. By taking a full party of tired soldiers in, and having none of them die, unlocked us a trophy. And then by doing a mission and fully killing one of the more annoying Chosen, got another trophy to pop. And after finishing that mission, gave me enough XP to max out the rank of my Spark unit, which got us the grindiest trophy of all the DLCs. This is when the alien rulers started spawning in. In the first mission we encountered the Viper ruler again. Did a lot of damage, but not enough to kill it. So the next time we saw it, we were going to make sure it wouldn't escape. Kinda. Purposely made it one shot and waited a few turns for it to open a portal to try and run away. But I killed it as it tried running through the portal, which unlocked a trophy for killing an alien ruler as it tried to escape. A big part of the DLCs is the different factions, and doing different missions for each of them. There's 3 factions, each related to one of the new soldier classes. After doing several missions for each one, I raised each to the maximum influence and got a trophy for doing so. A new enemy added to the game, which I haven't really talked about because they're pretty forgettable, are the Lost, which are basically just zombies, but when you kill one of them with a headshot, it refunds you the action you just used. So by having enough soldiers who have enough ammo, I was able to kill 15 in one turn, which rewarded me with a trophy. After killing each alien ruler, we are rewarded with being able to use a special piece of armor that has a special ability. I'll need all 3 for a trophy later on, but by using one of the abilities on another alien ruler, get a trophy to pop. We finally come to the last trophy of the Chosen DLC pack. By having 2 soldiers continually go on missions together, they form a bond. And by getting that to level 3, we get a nice trophy and finish off one of the 3 DLC packs. By simply spending some money and buying the final tier of the new hunter weapons, we get another trophy to pop. And then came a very important moment in my life. It was finally time to torment and kill the douchebag that completely destroyed my first playthrough, the Berserker ruler. Killing this alien ruler filled me with more joy than I think I had getting the platinum. I hope the dev who made this alien ruler steps on a Lego in the middle of the night, every night, for the rest of eternity. Killing this guy got such an amazing trophy out of the way, I cannot, in good conscience, give you any words that could describe how amazing it felt. Next came finishing off the Shen's Last Gift DLC set. I was finally able to afford 2 more Spark units, and by putting all 3 in one mission and finishing it, I got a trophy for completing a mission with at least 3 Spark units. By doing some more research and unlocking better gear, I was able to outfit a Spark unit with max weapons and armor, which got us a trophy. And I finally got to the point in the story where an avatar spawns in, and by killing it with the Spark unit, I got the final trophy for this DLC pack, which means there was only 1 left. Finally came face to face with the last alien ruler, the Archon ruler. This guy is pretty shitty, and I honestly can't imagine having to fight it on a commander difficulty. Beating this guy in that difficulty would have taken longer than it would have taken Levi to beat me in a multiplayer match in this game. Bare minimum, a week of constantly playing. Finally beating him unlocked the trophy for defeating the Archon ruler, and then immediately popped the trophy for killing all 3 alien rulers in one game. Now that I killed all three, I unlocked all special pieces of armor and unique abilities related to them. The Icarus ability, Frostbite, and Rage Strike. By going into a random mission and successfully using all of them, we unlocked our second to last trophy. We finally came to our last trophy of this miserable journey. Unfortunately for me, and maybe fortunately for you guys, this ended up being the hardest trophy in any of the DLC packs. I have to kill an alien ruler the first time I encounter it. But I killed all three already. What am I going to do? Start another playthrough? Well, I anticipated this and made a separate save before I encountered any of them. God, I am so smart. But this Einstein level move didn't save me a whole lot of time as I would have liked. During my first encounter with the Berserker asshole, I spent about 2 hours trying different strategies to kill it before it could run away, and I never even got through half of its health. So I decided I'd just go to an earlier save file and redo that DLC mission when I first see the Viper Ruler, and do it then because I had one less bar of health to deal with this alien ruler. But I then realized that earlier save file didn't have enough good gear to kill it in one shot. It had enough to hold my own against them, but wasn't advanced enough to kill it in one encounter. So I had to keep progressing the game again to get better stuff and come up with the big boy strategy to kill it. And that was to do an obscene amount of damage per shot, have a grenadier with frost bombs to freeze it when it tried to run away. And after hours of prepping for this, I went into the mission. And I was able to put that Viper ankle biter in a body bag and finally got my last trophy for killing an alien ruler the first time you encounter it. And that trophy finally concluded this Satan worshipping nightmare and got me the 100% in XCOM 2. Now the moment everyone has been waiting for, the rankings. So for difficulty, we are giving this game a 9.5 out of 10. The only reason this game is not a 10 is simply because of the save scumming. And even with that, this game is so unbelievably difficult. Starting this game, I could not believe how hard it was. Even towards the end, it didn't really get that much easier, to be honest. A well-deserving 9.5. For grinding, we are going to give this game a 9 out of 10. The amount of times you have to play through the campaign is sickening. And as you saw with my campaigns, it can be completely negated and just end before you even get to the end, adding a whole extra playthrough to it. If you're not save scumming, you are going to have anywhere from 5 to 7 playthroughs of a 25 to 30 plus hour game for the whole 100%. That brings our true ranking to a 9.25 out of 10. But wait, there's more. For the bullshit meter, which gets a 1 added to the true score if there is a mechanic required for the platinum that is outside of normal gameplay. And we are giving this game a 1. This is our first game that scores on the bullshit meter, and let me tell you, it's very well deserving. The load time on a PS5 being 1.5 to 2 minutes is wild. Having to do that hundreds upon hundreds of times is the definition of insanity. That brings our true ranking to a 10.25 out of 10, which, as you all know, is just outrageous. Our first game, and maybe the only one that gets above a 10 for a true difficulty ranking, goes to XCOM. For our recommendation, giving this game a score at a 2 out of 10, there's a reason it shows up on a bunch of those hardest platinum trophies, and why no one else has made a platinum video on it. Recommend trying the game out once, so you can see just how difficult it is, and save yourself the mental anguish of ever going for the platinum. Thank you everyone who watched this mental beatdown I sustained. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe so you can follow along the rest of this challenge and continue to see me quickly lose my sanity. We stream every game for this challenge over at Twitch, and we'll leave a link in the description below. Lastly, we have a Discord, which will also have a link in the description. Have a bunch of fun stuff going on, have a bunch of roles for completing certain games, as well as a channel to request help with trophies, or I will either hop into the game to help you, drop items or weapons so you don't need my help, or at the very least give tips and tricks on how I went about getting a certain trophy. I'll see you guys in the next video where we take on the behemoth of Wolfenstein 2. Now, just gotta figure out how to end the video. I think this is the power button right over